Hey YouTube gun people, I want to give you my personal bias on gun cleaners. What you need to clean your precious baby. This is my Colt Anaconda. It was given to me as a gift. It is spectacularly beautiful. It's a beast, man. It's really well made. You know, it makes you wonder why Colt stopped making these things. But they did. I mean, this thing is just, look at that. Single action is crazy. Just great. Anyway, so if you want to clean this thing, what are you going to use? Or any of your guns? There's a few things to consider. One, a cleaner just to get the grime off the gun. Burnt powder, unburnt powder, dirt, that kind of stuff. So that would involve cleaning, for instance, the frame of your gun, the outside of the slide, or the slide rather, and to really get off all the kind of built up crud. Now, to be honest about it, cleaning a firearm, it is a good practice, and the traditional practice is every time you go out and shoot, you should clean your firearm. The reality of that is if you shoot a lot and you have other commitments, often you don't get to shoot your gun, clean your gun every single time you shoot. And some guys understand the reliability of their firearm and will sort of let it go for a while, until I shoot, I don't know, 1,000 rounds through it, then I'll give it a good cleaning. Now, there are a few items that you can have to facilitate your cleaning, and so let's talk about what some simple tools you need to clean your gun, and then the solvents and cleaners you'd actually use. All right, your first kind of tool is just a simple toothbrush to scrub off gunk. You can basically be green and recycle your old toothbrushes. If you have kids, use their old toothbrushes. Make sure they're the old ones, because your wife's going to get PO'd if you're using your kid's toothbrush and putting it back in the toothbrush holder. Don't do that. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. Toothbrush, the kids are a little bit better because they're smaller, not as big as adults. Or you can, at your favorite gun shop, for less than $1, buy one of these jobbers. It's got a big brush on one end and a smaller brush to get into the smaller areas on the other end. Certainly good. They make versions of these where the bristles are brass as well. I think that's a little too harsh. But this you can use to scrub off a lot of the crap. All right. You're going to need a cleaning rod. What I would recommend is you have at least 2, and you're going to need to have cleaning rods that fit down the barrel of your caliber as well. So you need your basic cleaning rod. Now I'm talking just about pistol cleaning. Rifle cleaning is a different deal, and I'll get to that in another video. But this is a jag, and you can see the end here is made. You put a patch on it and saturate it in solvent, or even a dry patch. It goes right on there. You jam it down the barrel. I'm sure most of you guys understand that. You also need a cleaning rod, I believe, with a phosphor bronze brush on the end of it, to really scrub out, particularly your chamber. When you see real firearm failures, kabooms, often it's because the round isn't chamber right, and sometimes that's because it was really dirty. It didn't get scrubbed out. You can also use these as a bore mop. I don't recommend buying a separate bore mop. What is a bore mop? And this is why I don't recommend it. It's just this, I don't know, it's cotton or whatever it is. You can saturate it and run it down your barrel to get solvent in there. The problem is they really get filthy and kind of gunked up, so they seem to be not that great. So what you can do is get your bore brush and just saturate a patch and wrap it around the bore brush and use that as a bore mop. You follow me? Basic tools. What else do you need? You also need something where you can kind of get into the small parts. A Q-tip is a good thing to have. And then the other good thing to have is pipe cleaners. Make sure it's the pipe cleaner that's got a lot of bristle or whatever this is over the wire. If they're kind of thin, the wire is exposed, you could scratch things. But this is good, for instance, to get down slides of a semi-auto like a 1911, the rail, right? Clean it out really well, it's full length. Okay, what else? Some sort of basic disassembly tool can be good if you're interested in taking out your firing pin assembly. So for instance, if you have a Glock tool is good. You don't need to get all this stuff on day one, folks. You really don't. So these are the basics. This is sort of tools that I employ every time I clean a gun. The other thing to have, if you have it, if you don't have it, that's fine too, is an air compressor. This isn't on right now, but this is really good for blowing out excess cleaner and solvent and blowing off lint and things like that. You actually don't want a lot of lint. And then I really recommend having a roll of paper towels. You can save on patches. You can buy just the cheapest ones you find in the grocery store and use them to get that initial layer of crap off your gun. So if you just shot your gun, it's a real mess. You can go over it with a paper towel, get a lot of it off. It'll make your cleaning easier. And of course you're going to need patches that are caliber size. These are Pro Shots. You know, you can make your own out of old T-shirts, stuff like that. It's just a little bit easier if you have those patches already cut. You don't have to spend a lot of time cutting them. So now, what do you use to clean your gun? So you need like I said, a mild solvent or cleaner just to kind of clean that grime off the gun. I like M Pro 7. I think this is a really good cleaner for that sort of stuff. So what I do is I'll spray this on the gun, go over it with a toothbrush, get all that grime off, sort of the externals, the outside parts of the slide, of the frame, and then sort of the internal parts. Go through it really well. Make sure you wipe it all off. This is not corrosive. It doesn't smell bad. It's I don't know. Let's see. Blah blah blah. It's non-hazardous, non-toxic, odorless, biodegradable, non-flammable, environmentally safe. So this is you know, not something that your wife will complain about because you can't smell it. Other people have claimed you can use Simple Green. I have not tried it. I understand Simple Green can pit aluminum, I guess. I'm not 100% sure, so correct me if I'm wrong. And that's another option. Maybe you dilute it, and then give it a water rinse. It won't pit. Maybe check into that. So a mild cleaner to clean it up. I like the non-lubricant based mild cleaners like M Pro 7 because they get everything off of it, and you can re-oil the gun and and get fresh lubricant on there. Alright, now you take it apart, you get all that crap off the outside of it. You're faced with a couple of other things, or the most important thing is your barrel chamber and your bore, or your cylinders and your barrel on a revolver. For the bore, I think you got to really get in there and clean it out. So I tend to favor a stronger cleaner. So I like Shooter's Choice to clean my bore. This is a bore cleaner. Now don't go using a bore cleaner on the other parts. This is made for the inside of the barrel. Think of it that way. But this will dissolve lead, copper, powder, fouling in firearms, and also plastic. If you're shooting shotgun shells, the wad will leave a plastic residue. So shooter's choice works really well. Simply make yourself a bore mop like I showed you with the patch around here. Saturate it, run it down the barrel a few times, or the barrel and the cylinders. Let that soak for a few minutes, set it aside, and go to the next other parts of your gun that you'll be cleaning with M-Pro 7. Now, so the key thing about a bore cleaner like Shooter's Choice is to make sure you, after you do that soak, and then you scrub it with your bore brush. Then you have to take patches, dry patches, push them through the barrel or the cylinders to get all that out of there, all that bore cleaner out of there, because if you leave it on too long, it can damage, and probably will damage, your firearm. Don't get this on your plastic or your nice grips either. But it's not an issue, it's easily controllable. The other thing to do if you want to make this a little bit more mild is to, and I just have it in a squeeze bottle like this, dilute this 1-to-1 with penetrating oil like Kroil, K-R-O-I-L. That's really a classic bore cleaner, particularly for people that shoot rifle. That's all done. Now your gun is cleaned. Everything's off of it. With M-Pro 7, for instance, or your other favorite cleaner. You cleaned out your bore with Shooter's Choice. A milder product that I like is Hoppies. This is a bore cleaner too. It's a solvent, and you can use this too. I just prefer Shooter's Choice, but I use Hoppies regularly too. For a serious cleaning, I think this does a good job. At this point, you got, again, make sure you get rid of the Shooter's Choice. Go down the barrel with something like M-Pro 7 a few times, and make sure that you get rid of all the Shooter's Choice. Run a patch through it until it's dry. So at this point, everything should be dry on the gun, right? And let me say something. You can use a cleaner like CLP. You can use something like Rem Oil. You can use something like Ezox, or here's Rem Oil, as a cleaning solvent as well. Problem is they're kind of slippery, and of course they have a lubricant quality, so it kind of gets the gun too lubricated on the outside where you want to handle it. So I prefer not to do that. Okay. Gun's dry, barrel's been cleaned now, and the solvent's been removed. Now what you need to do is get your gun lubricated. All the working movable parts need to be lubricated, and you have to also go ahead and lubricate your barrel. It's the inside of your barrel, and then sorry, not lubricate it, but preserve it. So actually your whole gun needs to be treated with a preservative to prevent rust. It's anti-corrosive, not really a preservative. So at this point, what you really need to do is, I would first deal with my barrel. Now what I like is just to condition that bore a little bit. I run a patch saturated with CLP down the barrel twice, and then I go through it with a dry patch one time, just to get all the excess out of there, and the inside of that barrel is done. All right. And you do the same for your cylinders on a revolver. Now, the outside of the gun, you want to protect it, so we'll get to that in a second. I forgot something. Now, all your movable parts, like the slide, the rails, and all that stuff. For 1911, I like to use a product like Slide Glide. Okay, this is a petroleum-based product from BrianEnos.com. Check it out. This stuff works great. Okay, if you're, and there's different viscosities for different temperatures. You can get it here, and it really prevents metal galling, and it stays where you put it. In other words, if you put it on the rail You put your gun in the gun safe and it's tilted, it doesn't run out of the rail, right? It stays where you put it. It lasts a long time and is highly effective in preventing wear. I like this. I actually use it on my Glocks, any pistol. You can use it sparingly, but you need to find out how much you need to use on your rails for your gun. I use it fairly liberally on a gun I'm going to shoot a lot of rounds through, like my Smith & Wesson 1911, for instance. I do not use grease, however, on a revolver. You don't want grease or oil getting into the works of the revolver because it will cause it to hang up. You just want to use a light oil. And I'm not going to tell you where to oil or lubricate your gun, but I'll just tell you some products I use and when I use them. The other lubricant, for instance, on the sear parts of a Glock or a Smith & Wesson M&P, I just use a drop of CLP. Just one drop. You don't need to go nuts. On the outside of the gun, I use one or two products, and the product I've been going for the most lately is Ezox. I was using Rem oil. The whole point of this is just to spray it on a patch or on the outside of the firearm, get a good coat of it all over the outside to preserve it, so it prevents rust, right, or corrosion. But I find Ezox to actually be much, much better. It's a synthetic. You can think of this as a ultra model ballistol. It's a cleaner lubricant and protectant, but it's a dry lubricant. So the way you use this, if you just want to preserve the firearm, prevent corrosion, spray it on a patch or spray it on the firearm. Keep it off the rubber grips, for instance, and spread it around. Let it sit for half an hour or so, and then go ahead and take the excess off with like a paper towel or something like that. This will leave a dry lubricant. You can't feel it. It's dry to the touch. It's quite good. Is it long lasting? No, probably not. But this stuff, in terms of anti-corrosive properties, is probably the best product that I personally use. Ezox works great. It really does. I've used it actually on some tools just to prevent rust, and you know, they stay in a relatively humid basement all summer. They never get rusted. This is great stuff. This is also great for small, very small pocket pistols where there's not a lot of room for lubricant, like the Camp LWS 32. This is the recommended product. So what do we have? We have basically a clean pistol. The final product you can use is either just a good old rag saturated in a silicone spray, or you can buy a silicone rag and you know, you put the gun in the pistol, give it a final wipe down to get all your fingerprints off of it, stick it in the safe. That's what you need to do. Let's see. There's some other products you can use. I use Slide Glide also on rifle bolts. Shooter's Choice grease is really good on bolts, and as well as slides and stuff like that. Some people use lithium grease. I don't really use it that much. I think there's better products. And there's other things like Ultra bolt grease for rifle bolts. One other thing you need to have is some kind of plastic dental pick tool that allow you to get in and clean, for instance, behind an extractor. Get all the carbon out of there, scrape it out. Sometimes a little plastic tool won't do. You need to get something like this, just any piece of metal. Be careful with these, you'll scratch your gun, of course. Metal or hard plastic or maybe a nylon one will work too. One other thing you need, gloves. Yes, wear gloves. You might want to wear eye protection too. You're removing springs, for instance, in 1911. You don't want to get hit in the face or in the eye. Think about that. That's a possibility. But gloves are important because, you know, a lot of these solvents you'll use, like Shooter's Choice, for instance, they're pretty heavy-duty solvents. This has petroleum distillates, butyl solvents, penetrating agents, So you have to be concerned about, and it's harmful to paint, varnish, plastics, wipe nickel-plated surfaces dry after cleaning, etc., etc. You have to be careful about this because it can dissolve heavy metals and you don't want them absorbed into your body. If you're going to be shooting for a long time, you want to really protect yourself and keep the lead and stuff and solvents off of you, out of you. Good, just a pair of gloves. You can buy them at Home Depot, wherever you want. They have them. Most places have them. I think drugstores have them too, like a pharmacy. It's important to take care of your firearms. They're really expensive to buy, and to maintain them will go a long way towards keeping them reliable. And we all talk about reliable firearms, so this is if they don't come from the factory so reliable, it's a big problem. But if you're not maintaining them in a way that makes them reliable, that's your problem. So, but the good news is it's easily solved problem. Colt Anaconda, what a nice pistol. Too bad you can't shoot these things in IDPA. That'd be pretty fun. All right, I'm out.